soon as you take one step forward, you take two backwards, and that's just the life of a Barcelona fan. Yeah, I mean, what a what a bomb that the match was against Cadiz. Like, how we can make those. Well, I'm not I wasn't out there on that field. I mean, I don't get paid to do that. But how those players that are getting paid millions and millions of dollars can go out there and make mistakes that a 5-year-old player makes, I will not understand. But yeah, I'm going to try to analyze this match, although that's going to be kind of tough to do. So let's get right into it. So today, Barcelona played against Cadiz, and they lost 2-1. And the starting lineup was Ter Stegen in goal, Alba at left back, Serginho at right back, Mingueza and Lenglet at center backs. It was Busquets and De Jong at the pivot, and then it was Griezmann, Braithwaite, Coutinho, and Messi who made up the forward. So yeah, when I saw the starting lineup, I didn't agree with Koeman's decisions at all. You know, it looked like he just wanted to go with experience too much, honestly. Like I said in the match discussion for Osasuna, just because that formation worked in that match doesn't mean it's going to work for all the matches. You know, like you always need a wide player. You need someone on the wings to create space and to penetrate on the wings. And I mean, when you play Braithwaite, Messi, Griezmann, and Coutinho, who all like to play centrally in the same match, it's like there's no width, there's no space, and you could see in the match that we desperately needed some space, man. But honestly, like, our overall play just was not good enough. Too many balls were lost. Everybody out there was just passing it to the opposition for some reason. It would not surprise me if a stat came out that said every single player gave at least one ball away to the opposition. Like, our passing today was just bad. It was off. And especially in the midfield, they lost a lot of balls, which you just can't do that at this level. But, like, it was just a mess out there on the field today, to be quite honest with you guys. And that first goal came around when Cadiz get a corner, and Mingueza tries to, it's a silly mistake from him trying to, go out and push the player like he does, because he ends up getting sandwiched by two players. He falls, he gets back up in desperation, trying to just hit the ball. You know, you can see he's desperate to just get that ball out of there. But when he heads it, it goes into the goal. Ter Stegen gets a hand on it, but it just goes right into the path of the Cadiz player, and it was just an easy goal. And after that, I mean, Cadiz were happy to just sit back and soak up all that pressure. So it just didn't look like Barcelona were going to get back into that game until that second half, because in that first half there was really no creation. It was either Messi creating something or nobody did. And it's like, honestly, I was happy to see Messi involved in this game, because this is the most involved I've seen him in any of the matches we've had this season. But we just can't go back to old habits of it's either Messi or nothing happens. You know what I mean? Because that's just, you're never going to be a championship team with that kind of attitude, with that kind of mentality. And after that first goal from Cadiz, like I said, it just didn't look like Barcelona were going to get back into it until the start of that second half. But yeah, I mean, I do believe that it was a childish mistake from Mingueza for that goal, but at the same time, it's a little bit more forgivable than the mistake that Lenglet made. And I'm not saying that we should just let it slide, you know, the mistake that Mingueza made. But you have to understand, he's a 20-year-old young center back who was just thrown into the team like a week ago. And, you know, he doesn't have the experience. And you could just see that he just made a silly mistake, which young players can do. But that mistake that Lenglet made, it goes beyond silly. It's just like, how can you make a mistake like that? You know what I mean? But I'll talk about that later on when I talk about that goal. But yeah, nothing too bright to talk about in that first half. I mean, honestly, it's hard to analyze this performance, because what is there to analyze? I mean, it was just a mess out there, honestly. I just do not agree with Koeman. Why would you start all central players? And Busquets, he had a decent match against Ferencváros, but it's not like he was, you know, mind-blowingly amazing in that match. I would have started Pjanic. But, I mean, I'm not going to blame everything on one single player. I don't think Busquets was horrible, but I do think in that first half especially, he was a lot better in that second half. But in that first half, he gave away many, many passes. You just can't do that. And moving on to that second half, Mingueza and Coutinho were subbed off, which in my opinion was a little bit harsh. Like, because yes, Mingueza made that mistake that led to the goal, but in my opinion, other than that mistake, he was playing better than Linglet. I mean, Linglet just today is probably the worst performance he's had in his entire Barcelona career. It was just awful, awful, awful. And I hope that he has a strong I hope he has a strong mentality to be able to go home, sleep, and then wake up tomorrow and get ready to train and just move on, because that's what he needs. He cannot dwell on this performance, because it's just forgettable. Just forget about it and move on. But yeah, I just do not agree with Mingueza being taken off, and especially not for De Jong getting put back in defense, because he's not a defender. Like, sure, as a last result, okay, that's understandable. If literally every other center back is injured and we have to put De Jong in defense, okay, fine. But like, why would you take off Mingueza? It just didn't make sense to me, especially when you take into consideration the fact that it was De Jong as that center back, Pedri as a pivot. Like that, where is the defensive structure in that? There's none, and you could see that every time that Cadiz had the counterattack, it looked like they were going to score. They could have easily had like 4 or 5 goals, honestly. Like, let's be real. They could have just absolutely destroyed Barcelona today. And yeah, I mean, it didn't look like we were going to get a goal, but in the second half, like, I gotta give credit where credit's due, because like, when up until we got our goal, we just had Cadiz up against the rope. It was like a boxing match. We just had him up against the rope. We were hitting that left hook, right hook, uppercut. You know what I mean? Like, we were just hitting them with all sorts of chances, and it looked like only a matter of time before Barcelona got back into that game, and it did happen. Messi lays a ball off to Alba, who tries to get a cross in, but the cross deflects and it goes in. But right after that, Cadiz get their goal. So it's like, you know what I mean? What's the point of just like working so hard to get that equalizer, and then you're just gonna throw it away, especially with the mistake that Linglet made? Like, how this is just grade school stuff. Honestly, this is like 5-year-old, 6-year-old mistakes. You can't be doing that at this level. Because Jordi Alba, it's a throw in. He throws it into Lenglet, who just controls it horribly. I guess he was just dozed off. He was sleeping, and he lets the ball get ahead of him. The Cadiz player comes in, takes it. Ter Stegen comes out, tries to boot it, but it just bounces off the player into the path of another player, who then takes it. And De Jong tries to slide, but it's just after that mistake from Linglet, it was just inevitable. That ball was going to end up in the back of the net every time, and I mean, that's just unacceptable, man. Like, Linglet just. I love Linglet. I really admire the fact that he came in when Umtiti was injured, and he just rose to the occasion. But I never did think he was the best center back ever. A lot of Barcelona fans, in my opinion, they overhype Linglet because they say he's so good, and I'm like, yeah, he's okay. And my thing is, my opinion has always been this: Linglet is the center back that could help you win La Liga, and he proved that by helping us win the league in the 2018-2019 season. But Linglet will never be a center back who wins you a Champions League. He's just not at that level. He's just a solid, good center back, but sometimes he has matches like these where it's just, I mean, but this one is just like, a very horrible one, like one of the worst, if not the worst. So yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say we lost only because of Linglet or only because of Mingueza, because all the players out there just didn't deliver, to be quite honest. I mean, other than, well, I don't know, because although I'm not going to just give the pass to Messi, you know what I mean? I love Messi, but I mean, I don't think he had a bad game because he was very involved. He was the only one trying to make things happen out there, you know what I mean? But I don't know if I can just, give the pass, but yeah, I don't know. Like, it just disappoints me to see Koeman go back onto the mistakes he was making at the beginning of the season, like, because I said it in my last video previewing this match. I was like, oh, Koeman is actually doing good with his subs lately. And what does he do in that next match? He's like, man, what you mean I'm doing good on these subs? Nah, we don't do that here. You know what I mean? Like, why did he just revert to panicking, throwing in a bunch of attack, and just forgetting about defense? Because once we got that goal, and then Cadiz got their goal. Like we didn't know what to do. We had the ball in their half, and like although we did have the ball in their half the whole time, we weren't even the dominating team because every time we got dispossessed, Cadiz were free to counterattack, and it looked like they were gonna score more than one goal. Like they should have honestly had more than one goal. They should have sent or more than two goals. Sorry about that. They should have sentenced that game like 4-1, 5-1, honestly. But I mean, they just didn't take advantage of their chances. But yeah, I mean that was pretty much the match. Just disappointing, man. Quite honestly. But yeah, let me know what you guys thought, and remember that at the end of the day, don't let these matches, ruin your whole mood because although, this is our passion, we love Barcelona, we love football. At the end of the day, man, it really is just a game, and there's more important things out there, your family, your friends, your job, your own self, take care of all the things around you, man. Don't let a soccer game, a football match just ruin your whole vibes, stay safe out there, guys, stay happy, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the preview for Juve, and in that match discussion for Juve. So, later, guys.